there's a good chance the next buyer, unless they know someone that you don't or have more resources that you don't, are gonna be quoted the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, so keep that in mind where you can't control what the lender does. You can only control how you relate that to the seller and try to get a deal together based on the information you have. It's like in single family. If someone gives me an appraisal for a property and it appraises at 500, but they want 650, I'm gonna tell them, listen, I don't care who you sell this to, the appraisal is not gonna change.
Yeah.
Now, unless you want to put more down payment and make up the difference, by all means, be my guest.
Yeah.
Then I'm not the buyer for you, you know?
Okay. Yeah, that sounds cool because like that's the point I'm at now. I have some deals, but now to like where I'm officially going to be making offers, and so I kind of wanted to know that before I wanted to start just
So
trying.
that's another good point. When it comes to the offering and the introduction of a lender, you don't want to bombard your lenders sending them every deal you underwrite because that gets overwhelming, obviously. And one, it's like you're not their only guy at the end of the day, you know, and you don't want to send them everything. They're gonna hate you, to be honest.
Yeah.
But you do want to make sure that, like, hey, let me test the waters. Let me talk to the broker. Let me feel this out. If I send an LOI, am I going to get a response, a counter, whatever? Or is this even still available by the time you do send an LOI?
Mm-hmm.
Then once you build a little bit of traction and get some momentum on the deal, and you're like, okay, this has some legs, then bring a lender in and be like, hey, I would say in between the LOI and PSA is a good time because you haven't officially entered escrow. Right. Also, like, hey, the LOI is getting close to being signed,
Mm-hmm.
if not negotiating like the final details. And then the lender can jump in and be like, okay, this. Hey, have you seen this or what's going on with this? And then you can clear everything up before you get the PSAs put together.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks, man.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks, Ed. Christian, so do you have specific brokers you want to call today?
I honestly, I'm surprised. Yeah, like I was gonna see, because I've talked to him before. I don't know if y'all want me just to give y'all his number, and then y'all can call him. And like I don't know how that works. Like, however how y'all do the calls. I've never like done a call, so how do y'all usually do them?
When you said, I thought you said you have been reaching out to brokers. Help me understand your
Yeah,
question.
yeah. Like I can
Okay.
call him myself if you want me to. So like I just I leave the mic on mute and then I just call him.
Yeah. So what we usually do on this call is we'll have actually. I'm always called. Eddie Charger's in the foreground. He's running the meeting, and I'm in the background making calls. As soon as I get somebody on the phone, I raise my hand. I wait, flag Eddie down, and then I just put it on speaker and let everybody hear the call as it happens. We've also had other people that, for the first time, we just encourage them to make calls and do it here live with the group so we can support them. We can give them, feedback. We'll do some role play ahead of time, right? And that's another thing. Anybody wants to role play, raise your hand and we can do that live. Sometimes that's enough to get somebody comfortable to get over that resistance to pick up the phone, right? So I'm going to back up for a second. That's the whole reason we're here, right? This whole thing started because I was on a Zoom call one day, and the purpose of the Zoom call was to call brokers. And the guy who was leading that call, it wasn't something he did consistently. He just did every once in a while, and he had a big following, so he had a lot of people on the call. And he was asking for volunteers. First of all, they went over a script, which we've done that on this call before. We don't do that every week. Anybody wants the script, put in the chat your email address and say, please send me script. And I'll go through those after the call, and I'll make sure everybody who requests one gets the script. To me, the script isn't all that important. It's a great starting point because it can give you a level of confidence. And that's what most of us need, just a little bit of confidence to pick up the phone call. But on that call, after we went over the script, he was asking for volunteers for people to go ahead and start calling brokers. Almost nobody volunteered. And there were probably 50 people on that call. And finally, I said, well, you know, if nobody's going to do it, I'll do it. I had never called a broker actually for multifamily, so that was my first time. So I went ahead and did it. And one other guy stepped up and did the same thing. And his name is Joey. And Joey and I talked afterwards and we're like, hey, man, let's start a Zoom. And 2 weeks later on Monday at 2:00, we started it, and we've been doing it every week since. Now, Joey, since he's more focused on some other stuff and he's doing a lot of single family stuff, and he kind of dropped out of the call, but that's what started, is just seeing that there was a massive need to help people get over that resistance, right? And to start picking up the phone and calling. And we've had a whole bunch of success stories from people telling us that this call encouraged them to pick up the phone. And I know we're going to have a lot more going forward. And, you know, I love making the calls. I love it when we had a great call last week. I encourage you to go back and listen to it. They're all posted on YouTube. I think that one's up. Man, that last week's may not have made it up there yet, but I'll make sure that gets up there today or tomorrow. And we're going to start breaking down some of those and stripping out just the phone calls so you don't have to go through it. And usually I try to say, hey, you know, go to 56 minutes and listen to this call or something like that. But anyway, so that's how this all started. And then we became part of the multifamily Freedom Chasers ecosystem. That's the other thing I wanted to talk about, to make sure everybody's aware of that. I know many of you are. I know many of you are on the Sunday night Zoom. We do it every Sunday night at 8:30. It's 8:30 to 10 Eastern Standard Time. And that's our activation Zoom. And we have some amazing guests on there. Last night, we had a guy talking about how to get people investing in real estate out of their IRAs. That's a great market to target, because tons of these people are just not particularly sophisticated, but they've got money. And over a number of years, this guy accumulated billions of dollars that he got invested into real estate, that he's invested in his own deals and helped other people get their deals funded by becoming an expert in investing your IRA and real estate and other assets. We've had people like Vina Jetty on there. We've had people like, oh my gosh, Martinez. What's Martinez's first name, Ed? Help me out. We've had some very well-known people in the real estate space.
Robert?
Robert Martinez. And there's many more to come. So Sunday night's amazing. Start your week there. Then come here, you join us on Tuesdays, you start taking action, you call brokers, you get those leads. On Tuesday night, Mr. Ed Shamarian, who's in my top right-hand corner right now, waving his hand, and Eddie Charger do the napkin underwriting. So that's the next step of the process, right? You get the lead in, you do the napkin underwriting. Then on Wednesday night, we talk about the debt market. And you really can't do these deals without debt, right? You've got to know where the debt's coming from. You got to understand the debt market. And so on Wednesday, every other week, it's talking about the debt market. Every other week, it's doing a deep dive underwrite. The Tuesday night is just the napkin underwrite, much more high level, enough to submit an LOI and start a conversation. That's really all the LOI does, right? It's a non-binding document, letter of intent for those of you who are new and don't know what that means. That's how we start the conversation in the multifamily world. From there, after what you're talking about, Christian, after the negotiation, you come to terms, then you'll have a purchase and sale agreement, a live contract that would get signed. So we're trying to take people through every step of the process. Every single one of these Zooms I'm on, I learn something. Join us as much as you can. Get connected with the Facebook group, the Multifamily Freedom Chasers on Facebook. Get connected on YouTube. Tons and tons of content. We're adding more content there every week. And so I want to make sure everybody's aware of that and know that's what we're all about. We're creating this whole ecosystem. It's all free information. We don't intend to charge for it. We just want you to, take action and come back and tell us about your wins. That's a big part of the Sunday night. We spend, probably 15 minutes having people raise their hand and talk about their wins from the past week. One of my wins from last week was sitting next to Mike Bailey from Massive Capital and getting some FaceTime with him. That guy's grown his business so fast it'll make your head spin. He's part of about, 1,800 doors in about 18 months. I mean, it's unbelievable. The guy never did any multifamily before that. Now, he had some capital of his own, right? And he had success in another business, but he's blown up his multifamily business in a very short period of time. So hanging out with these people really gives you, a sense of what's possible and what can be accomplished in a very, very short period of time. So, all right, back to Christian. We'll do whatever you want to do. You're already in communication with this broker, right?
Yeah. So what this would be an offering call, I guess, to try to get an LOI, because I've never signed an LOI. So that's what I was going to call him and be like, if I need to send my own or if he needs to send one, that's kind of where I'm at the point. Because I know some brokers, they'll send you an LOI for that they sign up and then you can just sign it. And so I didn't know if I needed to ask for one. And that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah. So, and I'll let Ed talk about this, but I actually haven't even been, I do the broker outreach. I'm raising capital. I haven't submitted any LOIs myself. Ed has submitted several, right? And my guess is he's going to tell you, you're the one making the offer, right? I wouldn't take an LOI from the broker. I want to submit my terms. Here's where I'm at. Now, look, if the broker wants to send you an LOI and you want to read through it to get a sense of where they're at, there's nothing wrong with that. I probably wouldn't accept it as it is unless, heck, if they're making an offer that's amazing, then take it, right? But even then, almost always, anybody that's submitting an LOI, they're not submitting the best offer, right? That's just typically part of it. Would you agree with that, Ed? Or are you ever on the first LOI? Are you ever submitting your best and final?
Okay, so there's a few things to point out that you asked. So multi-layered, I should say. Mm-hmm. First is, it depends what part you play in the equation. Are you the one making the offer without any representation? Are you hey, I'm offering, you're the representing the seller, how the seller's represented, I don't care. I'm coming in myself. I'm not paying a fee to anyone to represent me. If you want to represent me, cool, that's between you and the seller. But then I'm presenting the LOI. It's my LOI, my template, my offer. Mm-hmm. If you have a buyer's agent that's representing you because that's how you found the deal, you want them to at least create the LOI off of the terms you give them. So I'll write my LOI, I'll send it to them, and then I'll say, hey, put this in your template. Or here are the terms I want on my LOI. You put in your template. Because at the end of the day, they are responsible for the LOI that's being, more the PSA, but you get my point where if the buyer's representing you, the buyer's agent, they are going to be, writing the contract. So you want to make sure that it's in their words, you're on the same page, their letterhead, and make it official. Because then you don't want the seller's agent having issues there. So that's when I usually have the buyer's agent do it. And then if it's the seller's agent that's doing it, then at that point,
it's just me. So what do you recommend? Like, do you recommend getting like an agent to submit it? Because essentially this is gonna be like my first deal. So I can do it myself. It doesn't, like, I have some templates that I could use, but I don't know like what you recommend on that.
I send it myself. I send it myself under my own like my own LOI, my own format, my own template. Actually I can show you guys it a little later, but I just send my own. And then whatever they counter, if they want a certain LOI, okay, we'll put it together. Like, I don't care. As long as my terms are there, I don't care how it's done. And remember, like Peter was mentioning, your first LOI is probably not going to get anywhere in terms of, like, if they accept their first LOI, I'm more concerned than excited. I'm gonna be straight up. That means I did something
That's a
wrong.
good
I'm
point.
100%. If
Absolutely.
they take one of I now offer 3 offers. They take one of the 3 off the jump, I did something wrong. I wasn't aggressive enough. I didn't ask for enough. You know what I mean? So you're never gonna. And then after that, the negotiating, most of it's on the phone or email. Like the first LOI is just to show, like, hey, this is what I'm throwing out there. This is the range I'm in. And then in regards to the actual LOI itself, look, LOI doesn't mean much. It's your offer. I can say it to you, I can email it to you, and I can write an LOI. At the end of the day, if I send you the offer and you trust that I can act on the offer I'm proposing, like I can close on it, then it's the agent's job mostly then to be like, hey, these guys are serious or not?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it sounds like I gotta submit some LOIs and just kind of go from there. And then after that, because I've had like 2 or 3 calls asking about the property, stuff like that, actually having conversation with them. So at that point, I even talked to a lender now to make sure that my underwriting's correct. So now let's just submit the LOI just to see if they're even gonna accept what I want to get in on.
I agree with what Chris said. It's just terms and price, no need to complicate it. I agree. Also, there's days I've sent 5, 10 LOIs, like not a problem. Like you just send it and whatever happens. So in that sense, you don't worry about too much of, am I doing this right? It's just get them out there. You know, half the time you're calling their bluff more than they're trying to call yours. One more thing that was mentioned that Peter touched on that I want to say something about is when I'm offering a 3 offer LOI, my first offer is heavier seller carry. My second offer is somewhere a little less, not 0, but not, let's say 40% or 30% that I asked for. And then my third offer is like my traditional, no seller carry. We are usually gonna land somewhere in between 2 of them. And the reason why is I over ask. I'll say I want 10 years of seller carry. In reality, if they came back with 5, I'll take 5. Obviously, if the deal timeline works. I asked for 2% interest, but I underwrite at 4%. Okay. I offer them $500,000 less than I underwrite at. They take it. And then when they come back and say, hey, we don't want to do 10 years, we want to do 7, we don't want to do 2%, we want 5%. I'm like, cool, I'll give you one of those things.
My bad. The seller carry, I've never heard that term before. What do you mean by seller carry?
So let's say you are selling a property. I get a loan for 60%. That means there's 40% that I have to make up. I come up with 20% and I say, hey, Mr. Seller, you carry 20% over 10 years at 4% interest. It makes the deal better for me and for you. Because I can pay more, so you get more. And it's good for me though, because I don't have to come up with that 20% today.
Oh, okay.
In other words, seller finance. Yeah, it's a creative way of financing. Yeah.
Yeah, come to tomorrow's call. We can touch on that more in underwriting because I can show you what a difference it makes with the numbers. But or we can connect later and I can kind of show you too. That's not a big deal. But it's a general idea.
What's your number in the chat and I'll write it down real quick.
Sorry?
Or like connect later, like would I be able to call you? So I say put your number in the chat and I'll be able to, I'll write it down so then I can call you later, yeah.
Actually, I usually have my number here. I don't know why it's not, but let's put that there.
I would. Go ahead, Ed. Sorry.
I was just going to ask if there's any other questions you specifically have.
That's it. That's at that point. Now that it makes me know that I can, the seller carry, that makes it interesting. I know that's going to help me a lot in being able because when I'm underwriting, I'm thinking I have to do the whole, not knowing that, and I would have to make up a lot in raising capital. But I think that would help me being able to do seller carry in a lot of my deals.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Christian, I think, what I would say is we're not ready to call this broker back right now, right? We need some more strategy sessions to figure out, look, and I love what you're doing, right? You are jumping in and taking action. And that's what we're here for. We're trying to encourage people to take action. I love that you're doing that. Now, this is a team sport. It's highly unlikely you'll be able to pull this off by yourself, right? You already mentioned you're going to have to raise capital. Okay. You're going to need help, right? Where we need to understand better exactly where you are. Where does this deal sit? Let's have a strategy session, and then let's call the broker. And maybe we record it, right? And we can bring that recording back to this call. Or maybe we even, if it turns out that we end up scheduling a call with them next Monday between 2 and 3:30, we do it live on the call. But that's not necessarily a call I would encourage you to do live. Let's do a little bit more planning and be better prepared for that call. So thanks for bringing it. Thanks for being here. That's great stuff.
To Peter's point, actually, I commend you as well, because the fact that you're already taking so much action, but you don't know what seller carry is, I'm like, whoa.
I know. Okay. You've gotten pretty far to not know what seller carry is.
Yeah. I'm like, I thought I was gutsy and risky, but you take on that one.
Head first, baby.
Yeah. So another thing to mention on that is when you are preparing to call a broker, usually you should have seen the OM, the T12, the rent roll. You should have seen some documentation on a specific property. Now, if you're just trying to connect with them, cool. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is if you're calling about a specific property, always go in with 3, 4, 5 questions about the T12, about the rent roll, about the future outlook, about what he would do if not only the agent, but the seller themselves, what they would do if they kept the property. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to pay upside, like the pro forma value, but you want to know, like, what am I getting myself into and what's the upside? All right. So you want to go in prepared, even if you know the answer to some of the questions and you don't really necessarily have a question on it, make something up. Because the last thing you want to do, and my pet peeve is, don't come in asking one question, like, okay, cool, thanks, bye. Like, what was the point of that? Like, get them talk. Like, you spent 3 days to give them a call and ask a single question. Like, unless you guys have, like, you're in the process and that step in the process where it's like, hey, I just need to clarify one thing and I'll have an LOI. So that's a different story. But if it's just, hey, I have a question about this one thing on the T12, have a little more. They're already hard enough to get a hold of. As Peter just mentioned in the chat, it's hard to get a hold of them. If you're calling these guys and you finally get them to pick up, which can be an act of God sometimes, capitalize on it. Like, keep them on the phone, have them talk. Don't waste your time doing it, but make sure, like, hey, I want to knock out as many things as I can. Great question by Joshua. What's a T12? T12, so if you see T in a number when you're in regards to the documents, it's a trailing. T stands for trailing, which means it's a really large, usually, document with the breakdown of the financials, from income to expenses to CapEx sometimes to maintenance, repairs. You'll see everything. It paints the full picture. The T12 is very important because if accurate, which is another process in verifying, it's going to tell you everything that's happened in that property the last 12 months. And you can also get a T3, which is trailing 3 months, or T6, which is 6 months. So I hope that clarified that for you.
Hey, Ed, this is Mike Hawkins. How you doing? Hey, Peter.
How are you?
I want to clarify. Hey, guys. I want to clarify a few things, make it simpler for Christian. So the LOI process is the offering process. So you're pretty much in negotiations. For example, when you submit that offer and you call the broker, I mean, the few things you can do strategy-wise, like the guys were talking about, you want to make sure you underwrite, seller carries and creative finance, and then you're underwriting to see what works. You can actually talk to the broker who's representing the seller to try to figure out where you fall within that. There's other things you try to figure out to really pinpoint what that offer should look like, as to like why the seller, what's motivating the seller, what can the seller actually accomplish, right? Why are they selling, right? And then when did it last trade? You kind of get a feel for why are they right at the pro forma where they are, right? And it gives you kind of an idea of how to structure your LOI, right? And LOI, of course, is it has minimums. you can actually talk to, you know, a seller's broker, and you can say, okay, well, for example, due diligence, right? Your due diligence period. Normally, it's typically 30 days, but some, you know, some sellers want to do it faster, right? So these are things that you can, like, you know, always talk to your broker and leverage them, right, to get better insight on what the seller is looking for, and it helps you provide that LOI closer to what the seller is looking for, and gives you a better chance against the other offers. So I just wanted to just kind of lay that out. I mean, don't feel bad about the LOI process, but you definitely need to, you know, do more strategy sessions and figure out, you know, when I'm submitting the LOI, I have a clear strategy that I'm gonna submit, but also I've done my due diligence with that broker to get that LOI as close as possible to what the seller is looking for, because it really is just, it's a negotiation process. And like Edward said and Peter said, you know, you're not gonna, you know, normally your LOI is not gonna be spot on the first time. And typically, when a property is really popular, there's going to be a call for offers. So there'll be a lot of LOIs that come in. Then you're going to have a best and final, right? If they get offers that are close together, right? So there is a process, but the closer you are to the broker and knowing what the seller wants, knowing that seller, the better your LOI and the better position your offer will be in. So hopefully that helps and provides context. I just want to lay that out there. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's something I need to. Yeah, that's gonna help me out so much. Yeah, thanks.
Appreciate it, Hawk. Good stuff. So Joshua, I know you had raised your hand. You said you'd like to make a call. That's awesome. I think I have your email address. Did you check your email? And let me. No, you didn't get it. I didn't get to finish that yet. I'm going to send you the script. But Joshua, my guess is you have no idea how to even find a broker to call.
I don't. So like, I don't. I just have batch leads. I was like, maybe I could just filter, use whatever filters recommended, and I just call. But obviously, I've got to send some LOIs and that.
No. The LOI comes after. I can easily step you through what to do, where to get. You know, the process we use is we'll go on LoopNet or on Crexi. We'll look for properties listed in the market we want to target, right? And we had last Wednesday, we had an entire call on how to find the market that you should target, right? So that's the whole, we talk about this being a team effort. There's no way you could master all of it. Nobody's mastered all of it. Vina Jetty hasn't mastered all of it. Robert Martinez hasn't mastered all of it. Carlos Salguero hasn't mastered all of it. Grant
I'm down. Look, I'll jump in right now. I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, but I don't have a number for you to call yet. So what I'm going to do is try to send you an email while we, Cecily, who is on this call with us, I think she's still with us. I hope so. I don't see her on my screen. She must have her camera.
I'm here.
You're there. Okay. I see you now. So Cecily has sent me a recording of a call that she did, which is great because we've been very fortunate. We haven't had a call yet where we didn't reach a broker. But today's a holiday. Even if without Eddie Charger, it's going to be really hard for me to reach a broker. So if any of you are calling in the background, awesome. Please raise your hand. Let us know. If you get somebody, flag us down. We're happy to put you on live while you're talking to a broker. That would be great. But Cecily has one recorded. So I'm going to play that. And while I'm doing that, Joshua, I'll send you the script and we could do a little role play if you want to, and then we can try to find some brokers to call. But while I'm doing that, what I would recommend you do, Joshua, is get on Crexi, and it's pretty self-explanatory. That's CREXI. And just either look for multifamily here in Atlanta or multifamily in some other market that you want to target, whether it's Texas, Arizona, Kentucky, South Carolina, Florida, whatever. And just pick some city that you want to target, and you'll find brokers there that have listed properties. And that's usually how we start a conversation. We'll call a particular broker. My first thing, hey, I'm calling you about the Heritage in Charlotte. Is it still available? If it's available, great. We'll talk some specifics about that property. And for me, I like to start, what's the story? Tell me the story about this property. And just by asking that one question, they often answer most of the questions I have on my script, or many of them. And then I can fill in the gaps after that.
All right.
Just open-ended question. What's the story? Why is the seller wanting to sell? And get them talking. And some of them won't give you any information at all. Some of them will be like, all the information's on the website. Go check it out. Let me know if you're interested. And that's fine. And they could be a good long-term relationship. They might not be, right? You're not going to connect with every single broker. Not every broker is going to like your style. You're not going to like their style. There's plenty of them. Don't worry about messing up the call. I can already tell you're not worried about that at all, right?
No.
You're ready to go, and I love it. So, but I'll let me see if I can queue up this call that Cecily has sent in. Hopefully you guys are going to be able to hear it. I don't know how the volume's going to work on this thing. Sometimes we have technical difficulties with these things, but let me give it a shot, see if this will work. Can you guys hear that?
No.
You don't hear that at all. Okay, you know what? If I play it on the other device, you can't hear it from the same device. So that makes sense. Let me do this. This should work. Hopefully I can play it loud enough.
I'm good. How are you doing? I'm great. Thank you for asking.
All right, we're getting there. I assume you guys could hear that. Maybe not. Are you guys hearing me?
At that point, we did. Yes.
I could hear some of it.
A little bit.
Yeah, that's the question. Is it going to be loud enough? That's what I don't know.
While you're figuring that out, we've had some people post some questions in the chat. I just want to answer real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Eddie Lopez asked, is it frowned upon to go direct to seller? If there is a broker involved, yes, I agree with what Chris was saying. Other than that, if you could get a hold and be direct to seller, even better. Like, you want to cut out as many hands involved as possible, especially when it comes to fees and extra costs, whether for you or the seller. You could structure a better deal that way. So same way in the single family space, the closer you are to the seller, the more success you'll have in everything. Negotiations, the deal itself. But here's a catch though. Here's we have to kind of pull tooth and nail a little bit, is if a seller is not necessarily ready and prepared and has those documents, some sellers are very old school or just manage it themselves and don't have the appropriate documents. I see Michael nodding his head, like it's painful. And it's really hard when you're like, hey, do you have a T12? They're like, I've never had that. Oh, great. Do you have a rent roll? No, I've never had that. Sweet. I've got the one written on like a notepad that was like very unorganized. It's just like, it's a struggle. The reward could be way bigger though. Don't get me wrong. Those are the people you want to target. But now good luck trying to get a loan. See, it's like I prefer that, but you have to fight a lot more for it. So it is a balance of, yes, that's a seller I want, but this is going to take a lot more work. Hopefully it's worth it because you get the deal and it's a great buy. So going to direct to seller, in my opinion, is the best. It's just not as easy as single family, obviously, because you have more ways of, it's easier to hide in commercial. Let me put it like that.
So I'm going to jump in on that because, a lot has come up for me, and as you're talking about this, Ed, and just this question in general. So understand, many of us on this call are pretty darn new, right? We're just trying to turn around and teach what we've learned, right? Don't assume anything you hear here is gospel. And a perfect example of that is my day last Friday, right? a lot of people have asked, well, what's better, reaching out to brokers or reaching out direct to sellers? Well, you have to do both, or you don't have to do both. I shouldn't say that, right? Some people do one and only one, and they do deals. Some people do both. Personally, I think doing both is best, right? But last Friday, I heard from two separate, very successful multifamily investors. One specifically said, my best deals come direct to seller. The other one said, I've purchased almost no deals direct to seller and wasn't really high on going direct to seller because it's very difficult, right? Well, neither one of them is easy, right? And they're different. And
neither is wrong. I want to add that. Neither is wrong.
Neither one is wrong. Here's the thing, right? Going direct to seller, although it's kind of different in the multifamily world than the single family, right? The analogy I got in the single family world is, if you want a deal this week in the single family world, go direct to seller. If you want deals coming to you forever, for the rest of your life, go reach out to agents and develop relationships with agents, right? Once you find that agent that understands what you do and will send you deals, you can get multiple deals from that agent. In the single family world, it's very unlikely that any homeowner comes to you more than once to sell you their house under a distressed situation, right? So it's different. Is one better than the other? One's in the single family world, I would argue one's much better long-term. Establish a relationship with 50 different agents, and you'll never have to do owner-occupant outreach ever again, because you'll have so many leads coming in, you won't know what to do with them. In the multifamily space, it's a little bit different, because if you reach an owner directly who's interested in selling, well, that might be an older owner looking to get out of the business and might have multiple assets. So you might be able to buy multiple assets from that one owner. But it's the same concept in the multifamily space. If you reach out to a broker who you connect with, who gets to understand what you buy and brings you deals, that broker can bring you deals for the rest of your life. Now, again, in the multifamily space, one broker is never going to be enough. They're not going to bring you enough deals. You're going to have multiple relationships with multiple brokers. So it's a long game. This is not, this isn't going to happen overnight. Every once in a while, you hear about somebody who gets in, takes massive action, and closes a deal within 3 to 4 months. That's very unusual. Much more common story that I've come across, and I've been networking with lots of people that own apartment buildings. Many of them took 2 years to do their first deal. That's not very encouraging. I don't say that. The point is, stick with it. Don't give up. In fact, there's somebody on here right now that I know. Most of you probably don't know him. Dinesh, if you're available to talk, would you be able to unmute and have a brief conversation with me? But the reason I call him out is I know he's active. He's an active investor. I don't remember how long it took for him to buy his first deal, but if he would share that with us, that would be awesome.
Oh, absolutely. I'm in the gym actually, so yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
All right, so real quick, can you tell us how long it took you to buy your first deal?
For me, it took a long time. I started, my single family portfolio back in 2013. After that, in 2018, I started investing passively. And until 2020, I did not have a single deal, multifamily deal. So then things unraveled one after the other. We bought 11 units, then 8 units, then 17, then 42, 64. In the last 2 years, we have done about 10 deals. We're also into 2 new multifamily, new construction projects right now in North Carolina. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very good. I appreciate you unmuting for a second to share that with us, but that makes my point, right? Somebody I know is very active in this space. I know he's having success. It took him quite some time to get that first deal, right? This doesn't necessarily happen overnight. And if possible, my recommendation is do the broker outreach, but you also want to be reaching out directly to sellers. Now, the general consensus I get is reaching out direct to sellers in the multifamily space is particularly difficult, right? It's when you call, if you call a broker and you ask for a T12, well, they probably already have it, right? Because they put it together before they started marketing the property. And they are dealing with more sophisticated sellers, and those sellers have those things. But when that direct to seller relationship, when they can't produce the T12, to me, that's an opportunity, right? That shows me they don't know what they have. If they don't know their financials, they don't know what it's worth, right? So is it going to be hard to figure out what's really going on? Yeah, but the more difficult it is, potentially the more opportunity there is. So I recommend both.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I don't want to stay on this topic too long, but
right.
I agree with what Peter was saying, and I hope that kind of gave an idea of what the differences are. Joshua, you asked what's a rent roll. Michael, appreciate the answer on that in the chat. If that covered everything, let us know. If you have follow-up question, Joshua, just throw it in the chat, and one of us for sure will get to it. Here's a good question that we get asked a few times. How do you get around broker potentially asking for proof of funds? So this isn't like the single family space where you're going to show a proof of funds on the purchase. I know the mentorship that I'm a part of, they've never shown a proof of fund, and they have over 4,000 units. Have purchased over 5,000 in total, and then sold some, of course. But what you do want is you do have to show any broker the confidence and the ability to close. That's all the proof of funds is. Hey, are you actually walking the walk you're talking? It sounded a lot better than I thought I would, actually. A+ on execution. But you guys get what I'm saying. Like, you can prepare an LOI, underwrite, ask all the right questions, talk to the broker. They can love you for all you guys can become best friends. You can be invited to their wedding next week. You get what I mean? But if you can't close, they don't care. No one gets paid until the deal closes. That's all they're trying to do, is to make sure that the deal closes. Yeah, as Nathan said, they're trying to feel you out and also separate the BS, you know? It's really easy to just get too many people involved and wasting time, which you never want to do. And here's the thing you have to remember. If a property you enter escrow on and you struggle closing, that property, no one sees it. It's off the market. It's not available. You are losing a lot of time and potential eyes on a property when it's in escrow and you're tying it up, because it's not like single family where it's a 2 weeks or 1 month escrow. Multifamily can take 3 to 4 months to close easily. You know, between an assumable loan or regular loan or inspections by himself, the due diligence, all that stuff, you're not looking at an overnight thing. So seller wants to make sure, and a broker wants to make sure, they're going to marry you for that time, that you can hold your end of the bargain. So to answer the question, not that I'm trying to avoid it, but when a proof of fund is being asked for, you say, look, we are raising the capital with investors, which you are. We have done this multiple times and work with people who have done this multiple times, which you are. You're part of communities that have X number of units, which you are. And you just show the credibility, like, hey, this is who we are, this is what we do, and we will close if the deal's right. And anyone that says, I need proof of funds to offer the LOI, I'm like, I don't have a proof of funds. If you want to show my LOI to the seller, go for it. If you don't, thank you for not wasting any more of my time. Like, I'll walk away before I've hung up on brokers because they're being pain in the ass. They kept asking for proof of funds. I'm like, stop wasting my time. I don't have proof of funds. If that's the only way you're going to show this LOI, I'm done. And I clicked. Like, I'm not wasting my time. If I have to show you that I can even close, this is going to be a headache of a negotiation, because it's only going to go downhill from here.
So
Hey,
it's
Edward,
already. Oh, go ahead. Who's Mike? Go ahead.
I just wanted to put a button on Edward's point. Great explanation. There's a lot of ways, you can slice that question. It pretty much boils down to the broker doesn't have confidence in you to control a deal, like Edward said. And there's other creative ways, more advanced ways to do it. You can partner with a KP, get them to write a letter, right? You can use that letter to kind of carry into LOI deals. That's typically for bigger deals. So it's typical to see a broker ask for proof of funds on, like, say, $100 million deal and up, right? So just, there's different things that kind of play into that, but really the thing is, I tell everyone what Peter and Edward were saying, use Crexi and LoopNet to pull these properties, call the brokers. These are like less desirable properties, but it gives you a practice, right? And you get a sense of developing relationships with the brokers so that when you do call a broker about a big property, they believe in you, right? They believe you can close that deal and they won't be asking you for proof of funds. So, I mean, that's just another tip.
And you reminded me of one more thing real quick. You can get a pre-approval. That's very different than a proof of funds. You, as a credibility package, you should have a pre-approval. I have lenders that have told us, hey, let us know what you need a pre-approval on, and we'll be able to confirm it because they trust you, like you're vetted. But also remember this, you can't let them down either. They're putting their reputation on the line. They're signing that and stamping it with their logo. And the last thing you want is to take the lender down with you because you couldn't perform. So this is not like if you believe in yourself and the people you put yourself around and you have a solid team, then yeah, talk all the talk you want because you can back it up. Just make sure that you're confident in your ability.
Yeah, I'll add to that. It's all about confidence, and that's why a lot of you are here, and that's why I want you to keep coming back. When you talk to these people, when you're confident in the questions they might ask you, and you're confident in your ability to give them an answer and give it to them quickly, they're not going to ask. That's the bottom line. If they're asking you for proof of funds, you're not talking to them with enough confidence, and that's okay, right? It might be time to step back from that broker and reach out to somebody on this call that you know is making calls and do some role play with them and maybe do another call with them on the line, right? And let them do the talking and you just listen and get used to hearing the conversation, see how they go. And as you get comfortable making these phone calls, that will not be an issue. You will. No one's ever asked me for a proof of funds yet. Now, I haven't bought any, but it doesn't mean anything, right? I haven't bought a single property. What does that mean? All that means is that I talk to these people with a lot of confidence. And that's the goal of this call, is to get everybody to that point where you can pick up the phone. And I mean, so there's another level to it. It's not just the confidence, right? You also need to know what you're saying, and you need to be responding to questions in a way that makes sense. And if you don't even know what a T12 is, which you wouldn't if this is your first time on this call, then it's going to be really hard to do that with confidence. So that's why you have to come here. You have to ask these questions. You have to learn the lingo, listen to other people make these calls, and you'll be making these calls in no time. And if you look at the script and there's things on there you don't understand, shoot us a message, shoot us an email, give us a call, whatever. We'll walk you through it. We'll help you make phone calls. Just keep showing up, bring your questions, bring your wins. Let us know how this is encouraging you. Let us know what kind of success you're having. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and play that call from Cecily, and hopefully this will be loud enough that you guys can hear it.
So this is Maggie. Hi, Maggie. My name is Cecily Simmons. I'm a Diamond Global Investor. How you doing today? I'm good. How are you doing? I'm great. Thank you for asking. I was actually calling about Regency property you have on LoopNet.
Can you guys hear that at all? Is it pretty quiet?
There's more choppy volume issue.
Really? Sounds great on my end. I don't know how to fix that. I mean, if you can't hear it, it's not really going to be worth.
Yeah. And are looking for some preliminary mapping. So I just wanted to get a little bit more background on the property. Is this a good time? First of all, I didn't even ask you that, by the way.
Thank you for asking me. It is, as long as you don't mind if I multitask a little bit, because I only have about 10 minutes to get some things done, and
Sure.
these little pseudo holidays. My kids are napping, etc.
Totally understand. Well, yeah, I don't want to take time. And
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm just gonna talk fast. I'm from Jersey. I'm gonna talk fast. So
Okay.
the building, the sellers put a really high sticker price on it. The sticker on it is 60 million. The Whisper, I think, is probably 30, 35. And the reason being, if you're familiar with Fort Lauderdale at all, is because you just simply can't get that critical mass off of Los Angeles Boulevard. It's a unicorn. So there's intrinsic value in the number of units you have the opportunity to acquire where they are. I just recently closed on another building, very, very similarly, same owner, same number of units in Harbordale for 20 million. So he takes that building and he says, this one's worth more. It's Las Olas Boulevard. And to be quite honest with you, I don't think he's wrong. The price is outrageous, but the market's outrageous and things are changing. So we'll see where it goes. But he's the one of the reasons that it's a little bit more of a complicated sale emotionally, because it's owned by a family and the parents don't really want to let it go, and the kids who have taken over who are in their 50s, you know, don't want the emotional ties of their parents. They want to really strategize here for their real estate portfolio. They're very serious players. So that's the long and the short of it.
Okay, that was kind of where I was going. I was interested in why they were selling. That gives me a little bit of a background.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, and I'll try to make it fast too. I lived in New York City for 5 years, but I'm now in Atlanta, so I kind of roll with you.
Okay. I can hang. Let's go.
Okay, let's go. Okay, so is there any financing existing, any mortgages on the property at all?
They have some debt, yeah.
Okay, do you have any idea offhand, or would you need to gather that info? Because we're interested in, possibly taking on their debt, as well as seller carry if they're interested in that as well. But I would need a little more info, and I realize you're busy, and I can
The debt cannot be assumed. They would consider some seller carry, but I honestly, it doesn't sound to me to be anything that's advantageous to you, because what they're talking about is carrying 10 million out of 30 or so, I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
It's useful it's for the sake of a bridge, because the building needs to be renovated, but anything other than bridging the renovation, I don't see it benefit any buyer.
I did speaking of reno on the cafe.
Dollar wise,
like per door.
I mean, you could easily go for 15 or 17,000 a door, plus a roof and exterior, maybe $1.5 million.
Okay. Great. So, do you currently have a call for offers on this property?
We are accepting offers, yes.
Awesome. Let me ask you this while I have you on the phone. I know we're getting close to cutoff time, but like I said, heavily interested in this area. Do you have any other off-market properties, or can I get on your list so that you can keep me abreast of anything that you may have coming down your pipeline in the future?
I do have a couple other things. I have a 73 unit building that does have some assumable debt. You might be interested in that.
Yeah.
Are you local at all? Are you down here ever? Are you coming
I'm down there a lot because my sister and I love vacation for Lauderdale.
Yeah.
And my
good.
team is, I have some boots on the ground there as well. So,
Yeah.
we're a team of over 20 investors. So, I mean, we can definitely put together the financing done before. We're about to close on a 40 unit and a 75 unit in other locales, but it is partially a home base, and I'm looking to make it more of a home base, put it that way.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so I because I don't really work in the same fashion as some of the bigger Marcus & Millichap blast a list kind of. I just don't operate that way. I can't stand that. It's so impersonal and it's busy work as far as I'm concerned. I don't have time for busy work. So what I like to do is know who I'm dealing with. So that's why I was asking, because I'd love to just get together and introduce myself and show you what I have currently. And then once we have an established relationship, then I know you and I can send you things down in the future, you know? So I love that idea. Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's so much better. So, I mean, is a virtual meetup something you would consider? Yeah, we can do that. Why don't we get something? Oh, this week is so hard. I'm just traveling the second half of this week, so I'm having a hard time putting some appointments together. Why don't we do this? Why don't I send you an NDA for the 73 units I have? It's just a little time sensitive. I have some offers coming in on it. You might want to take a look at it. Yeah. Yeah, so I'll send you a non-disclosure for that. And then I can send you the package I have. So you can evaluate. And then would it be possible to get together the following week? Yeah, I'm open. I'm pretty open. I mean, you know, we can set up a Zoom or something. I would love to set up a Zoom with Maggie. I really value that you are interested in a personal connection. I'm looking to garner those relationships and be in a location. So I would love to start there whenever you have time. So
all right, I'm gonna stop that right there. I suspect you guys are not hearing it all that well, but I have plenty of thoughts from that call. But before I say anything, I want to open it up to the group, and preferably somebody who I haven't heard from yet. And is that, what did you think? What did she do well? What could she do better? Is this helpful to hear these calls?
I think as far as building trust, I thought that was actually pretty cool, because she was able to tell her, hey, look, like I go to Fort Lauderdale often. I have boots on the ground, you know, like I'm working on a couple deals right now, and everything she was saying, you know, the broker was like, oh yeah, like I definitely want to work with you.
Yep. Awesome. Good to see you, Say, by the way. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I met you on Friday.
I know. That's awesome. I love it. I love it. There's a number of people here that I just met, you know, within the last 3 days. That's what this is all about, guys. This is about growing this community, networking with more like-minded people. Who else has some feedback for Cecily on that call? And I know a lot of you are at work, and I appreciate that, but I know there are some of you out there that can step up and participate as well. That's the other thing. We're here to encourage you guys to participate. You gotta speak up. You gotta get known. You're gonna need a team to do this business, and this is where you find those teams in these rooms, right? We didn't say it at the beginning because Eddie's not here. He usually handles that. You know, in fact, I didn't use it this time. Put your name, your superpower. What are you looking for? Put all that in the chat. If you don't tell us what you're looking for, we won't know. You know, of course, we want to know what value you can bring to us, but we also need to know what do you need. If I don't know what you need, there's no way for me to help you. So anyway, just, you know, put that information in the chat while you're here. But anybody else want to comment on Cecily's call? Maria, thanks for raising your hand. I appreciate it.
Yes. I really like that she, when she found out that the loan was not assumable, she did ask, you know, right away, hey, you know, do you have any off market? Is there a list that you can put me on? She just didn't say, okay, thank you, and, you know, kind of just let it go. So that was really, really great in being proactive. I mean, I really like that part.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, what a great call. You've got the perfect broker there, right? She's asking you what the whole purpose of these calls is to build a relationship, right? And she's the one who said, well, I want to build a relationship with you. I mean, it does not get any better than that. That is exactly the kind of broker that you can get direct to seller on deals that are not on the market, right? You close one deal with that broker and she's going to know exactly what you're looking for. And every time she gets a deal that looks like that, you're going to be the first call. So that is phenomenal. Have you had the Zoom call with her yet, or is that scheduled for this week?
That call was actually a few hours ago today.
Nice. Awesome.
And I forgot it was a holiday. And I was like, oh my God, I'm surprised that she even answered the phone. And she was like, not the main broker. He's on vacay. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, no, it sounds like she's very active. I think she probably knows that market quite well. Does she live in Fort Lauderdale? Do you know?
Yes. She said
okay.
She was. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, no, that's fantastic. That was a great call. You handled it fantastic. Just again, you're there to build the relationship, right? That deal, maybe it's a great deal. Maybe it's not. Who cares, right? The deal we call these people about is virtually irrelevant. The chance of you finding a deal online, calling the broker and buying that deal is almost zero, right? We're not, look, I'm not saying it can't happen, and I hope it does, and I can't wait till somebody does it and we talk about it on this call. But at the end of the day, we've got to establish those relationships first, and then that's how we're going to get to these deals. So, go ahead, Ed.
I just want to say something real quick. And this call really showed that what I want to say very well. We're just calling other human beings. Like there's nothing different. They in real estate, you're in real estate. Like just talk and have fun with them and like get to know them. And hey, I like the idea of like want to see them face to face. Like if you're actually gonna work with these people and you're gonna be in escrow and you're buying this many millions of dollars worth of property and stuff, yeah, you want to have that relationship with people. Like you want to know what their days are like, what their hobbies are, what they like to do. You're gonna be talking to them a lot. Like brokers, especially if they're involved in the transaction, you're talking to these people a lot and consistently. And you want to make sure that like, hey, we're on the same page and we have that relationship. Like ask them how their holidays are, how their weekends are, and follow up with them. Like they're just regular human beings. So talk to them like you would a friend,
Make a friend. That's what we're trying to do. In fact, I've got to go back over my notes from past calls because I know I get wrapped up in doing these Zooms and I've made calls with people that I've never followed up with, right? I come the next week and I call new people. And it's like, okay, I need to start going back and reaching out to these people. And here's another point that I want to make. When they send you a deal, right? We tend to look at the numbers, and then if the numbers are no good, we kind of brush it to the side. We really need to use that to call them back and talk to them about those deals and say, hey, you guys are asking 12. I couldn't pay more than 8. And here's why. Here's how I underwrote this deal, right? And even if it's a deal you're so far apart, you're not willing to submit an LOI, have that conversation, right? Because that's all the LOI does is start a conversation. Well, you don't need an LOI to have a conversation. Call them back, let them know why you're not going to submit an LOI, and further that conversation, right? And it's all about, as Grant Cardone would say, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. And these people don't know you when you've only called them once, right? You have to call them every week, every other week, follow up, have conversations about the deals that they sent you already. Why is that no good? Why does that not fit your box? They're not going to understand your buy box day one. In fact, I would guess that many people on this call don't understand their own buy box exactly, right? They're just trying to learn and figure it out. And that's okay. You don't have to know exactly what your buy box is. And steal somebody else's if you have to, and go find them a deal. So anyway, that's, I could go on and on. Any other comments on Cecily's call? And it's already 3:22. It is a holiday. My daughter's dying for me to put her bike on the car and go for a bike ride, and it is absolutely beautiful outside. So I'm ready to let you guys fly and be free. I hope the weather's as beautiful where you are as it is here today. I know it is for Cecily and Say, a few others on this call because they're very close to me. Ed lives in paradise. It's always nice out there. So doesn't rain in Southern California.
Well, that's why my brother lives in Maui, so I think he's the one taking the paradise title. But I'll take it.
Why don't you live with him?
He's there for work. I'm in LA, but I'll take LA.
I understand. You can have LA. You can have the weather. I don't want to live there. But I need to get you together with my son. You live very close to my son.
Let's do it.
Any other questions before we get out of here today? Anybody want to raise their hand, ask any last minute questions? Don't forget to come join us tomorrow night for the napkin underwrite. That's the next step in the process. And then Wednesday night, the debt call. And Joshua, I'll get to you in just a second. Kay, unmute. What do you have for us?
Yeah, thank you. So I just wanted to ask real quick. So reaching out to, so it seems to me the way I'm processing this, it seems like you need to develop a relationship with the broker and the debt side, right? The banks or whoever, who the lender is going to be doing, who is going to be lending you the money. So
correct.
So with the script to reaching out to lender, will it also work for to reach out to the script to reach out to the broker, will it also work for reaching out to the lender, or how do you approach reaching out to the lender side of things in order to develop relationship and getting them to trust you, to want to allow you to bring deals to them for them to underwrite it and things like that?
Yeah, so that's a fantastic question. What I would recommend is you make sure you get signed up for the Zoom on Wednesday and bring that question there. We'll have a debt broker on that call. But at the end of the day, you need to understand your buy box, and you need to, if you're just by yourself, that's fine. If you've never done a deal before, you're going to need to partner with somebody who's done a deal. So you might even start there, right? Start making some connections with people you know have done deals. Because without that, you're probably wasting your time talking to the debt brokers because they're not going to be able to help you anyway. But when you do approach a debt broker, if you have formed a team, you need to have an understanding of, what assets does your team control, in terms of multifamily assets, and what liquidity does your team have? How much cash can you come up with yourself? And then what are your capabilities of raising the additional capital that you're going to? Those are some of the things the debt broker is going to talk to you about. But come on Wednesday, meet Jerry Miles. He's one of our go-to debt brokers. There's certainly other people we could connect you with. Reach out to me or Eddie Charger or Ed Shamarian, and we're happy to give you some other names of people you could reach out to. So
yeah, thank you for the response.
You bet. Joshua, you had another question.
So yeah, I downloaded Crexy, and I got things going there. I was just curious as to, as a new multifamily guy, should I really focus on like any filter criteria or any specific types of properties to look for to start off with, or should I just focus on practicing speaking with brokers right now?
I mean, I would, if you know what you want to buy. I mean, for me, when I click on that multifamily, and I know within Crexi there's like student housing and RV parks, and I pretty much take everything out other than apartment buildings, and I just focus on apartment buildings. If you're interested in RV parks, we'll leave that in there too. If you're interested in single family portfolios, leave that in there too, right? And at the end of the day, when you're first getting started, again, the property that comes up is really irrelevant. It's you want to find the brokers that focus on multifamily, assuming that's your target, and that's what this community is all about, right? Targeting multifamily. Because there's a lot of commercial brokers that really don't do multifamily. They do office, they do retail. I'm looking for the brokers that do apartment buildings. So that's where I start. And I just start making phone calls again, because at the end of the day, the deal I'm calling about is almost irrelevant. It's just a starting point to begin that relationship and begin that conversation.
To add to that, at one point a few weeks ago, we were calling people in my neck of the woods in LA with no intention of buying. It was just for reps.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point. When you're just getting started, you just want to practice, you want to get comfortable, call, Vermont, because you're not going to buy there. Just call someplace that you don't even want to buy. If you need that, right? I didn't feel the need to do that. I was comfortable talking to people right out of the box. And I know if I screw up that first conversation, I'll be able to recover on another conversation. Right? And again, you can always just bring somebody else in to say, hey, I'll never be able to buy anything from this broker, but I think he's a really good broker. So we want to get to know him. Why don't you call him? Right. So it's really almost impossible to mess it up so bad that you ruin the relationship forever. So,
and don't overthink it. Just do it. Just call.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking is I'll probably do what Cicely did, just record some of these conversations that I have.
Awesome.
And have them ready to go. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm happy to go, give me a call. I'll go over and I'll listen to him with you. We'll, critique him. We can do it on this call, but we don't have to wait till next Monday to do that. So it's 3:30, guys. We're gonna wrap this up. Say one more question. What you got?
I put in the chat. I was just wondering if choosing the market that's right for you, if that was recorded, and if so, if it can be shared with me.
It was. Now I don't know if it's posted yet, but do I have did you put your number in the chat, Say?
I don't remember if I did, but I will right now.
Okay, I'm gonna put mine too. Shoot me a text. I will make sure. So if you go to YouTube and you search for multifamily freedom chasers, I'm pretty sure you will find the right channel. It'll be obvious.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just do that. I mean, I can find it.
If you don't see this logo, then you're not on the right multifamily freedom chasers. But if you see that logo, then you know you're in the right place.
Okay.
And you'll see the debt. It was I don't know what they're titling exactly, but it's not the napkin underwriting. It's the deep dive. We really ended up talking a lot about identifying your market on that call. That was a good one.
Okay.
Glad you brought that up. So.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, guys. Great call. Sorry we didn't do more calls, but Cecily, thank you for bringing that call. That was awesome. Well done. Go do your research on Crexi. Bring some phone numbers. We need to get to the point where we have 10 people calling in the background so we can get more live calls going. But anyway, appreciate everybody being here. Hope to see you tomorrow night, and please come back next Monday and bring your friends, and enjoy it as always. Appreciate it, guys. Have a great week.
Thanks, everyone.
Over 20 years ago, I bought one single family lot and I built one home.